Yeah, very good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on Be in the Know about predatory publishing with Web of Science. My name is Julin, and I'll be your trainer and host for today. I'm very happy to be able to conduct this webinar in collaboration with the UMT Library. And this, I believe, is the first topic of the year that I'm doing for UMT staff as well as students. Okay? So I look forward to working with all of you in this new year, and I hope to continue with more informative webinars for you in 2021. Okay, so to start off, I have some housekeeping to do with all of you who have just joined us. Do ensure that you can hear me clearly. If you have audio issues, do use the option of using a phone line if possible. Okay? Sometimes it could also be due to the internet speed or internet connectivity. If you have any video streaming in the background, please turn those off, as that will take up a lot of bandwidth as well. If all else fails and you can't hear me, rest assured the recording will be shared with all of you after today's session so that you can review that at your own convenience. And because the session is being recorded, all your lines are on mute, so I won't be able to hear you. However, you can type in your questions and comments into the chat box or into the Q&A panel that can be found at the bottom of your screen, and I'll be able to address that as we go through today's webinar session. So today's session is scheduled to be until 12 noon, okay? But given the number of questions, it could be less than 1.5 hours. All right. So do make use of this time to ask me anything you need to know about predatory publishing, and I'll be happy to help you. All right. So we'll begin today's session now. So what is predatory publishing? I think it has been the buzzword for since the beginning of 2021. Okay, there has been news articles around predatory publishing, and there was a lot of concern in the research community about what this is. So I wanted to highlight that that until recent times, there was never a clear definition of what a predatory journal is. Okay, why didn't I use the term predatory journal? Because predatory journal is only a slice of this cake. Okay, there is predatory journals. There is also predatory authorship. There is also predatory reviews. Okay, so there are many different forms of publishing that can seem predatory, and especially for early career researchers, this can be very daunting because some of these publishing methods seem very legal. They seem very true. That's why many researchers tend to fall prey to such activities. And coupled with the enthusiasm of early career researchers as well as PhD students to publish as quickly as you can and as many as you can, all the more chances of you falling prey to a journal that is predatory or even review for a journal that is predatory. Okay? So only until 2019 was there a definition for predatory journals. So what are predatory journals and publishers? These are entities that prioritize self-interest at the expense of scholarship and are characterized by false or misleading information, deviation from best editorial and publication practices, a lack of transparency, and or the use of aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation practices. It seems like a very long definition, okay? But let me break this up into pieces for you. Okay? Ultimately, the criteria for a journal to be deemed as predatory, they need to display that they are showing false or misleading information, especially on their website. So an example could be they say that they are indexed in Web of Science since 2018. But when you go into Web of Science and check, okay, they don't exist. Okay? Or another false claim could be they claim that they have an impact factor of this certain number. Okay? But when you go into Web of Science journal citation reports and you check, they do not have one. All right. So take note of this. Very, very common. One of the telltale signs is that they have false information on their website. Another thing is deviation from best editorial publication practices. Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, if they are open access, okay, it would be good if you can see that they have identified themselves as following standards set out by DOAJ, or they have been listed in DOAJ website. Okay, and if they have indicated Open Access Scholarly Publishers Association as one of their practice standards, that is also a good thing. Okay, COPE, and then World Association of Medical Editors. So these are just some of the examples of standards for publishing. Okay, if you do not see that they follow these standards, okay, then it could be highly likely that you might want to be cautious about submitting your manuscript there. Okay. Now the next one is lack of transparency. So if the journal has not enough information on their website, for example, if they do not list down their full editorial process, for example, information for the authors. So for example, once you have submitted your manuscript, how long will it take before you get a response? And then what's the peer review process? Is it single blind, double blind? As well as what are the contact methods for this publisher? Another very common thing that that is seen is that many of them claim to be publishers, but when you try and search for their address, physical address, there is no such company or there's no such publisher. Okay, so just be careful of this. Another one, the final criteria is that they are aggressive and indiscriminate in solicitation. So what do I mean by that? It means that they might have gotten your contact details through illegal means. So they buy contact lists and then they just blast to every single person out there. So let's say, for example, you are a veterinary science, you're in the veterinary science field, okay? But you seem to be receiving a lot of emails for call for papers from this particular journal that is in, say, social sciences or even in mechanical engineering. And you keep receiving like multiple emails almost every single week, okay, from the same journal. Okay, that is aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation, meaning they have just basically blasted blindly to anyone who they think they can try and grab a hold of to submit into their journal. Okay, so that is one example of aggressive solicitation. So with this definition and these criteria, how can you tell? Okay, a lot of times, even with that clear criteria of these four areas, okay, many early career researchers still sometimes ask me, can you help me to verify whether this particular journal is predatory or not? Okay, a lot of times it is about common sense. It's about verification of the information that you see on the website. If you can't verify the truth, then don't submit that. Okay, because it's also a telltale sign of the quality. Even if the journal is not predatory, okay, if you can't find certain information that you require as an author, what does that tell you about that journal? Their quality standard might not be there yet. Okay, So then it's a question of whether you yourself as a researcher, do you want to submit your journal, your manuscript to a journal that is subpar? Okay, so these are some of the questions that you need to ask yourself before you ever send in your manuscript to any publisher. I'll share the slides with the library as well. So if you require the slides for today's session, you can either reach out to me or you can reach out to the library and they will be able to provide this to you. Okay? But this slide deck will include some checklists that you can use on the go. Okay, so these are questions that you should be asking yourself once you're looking at a journal and deciding whether you want to send your manuscript to that journal or not. Okay, number one, do you or your colleagues know the journal? Okay, in actual fact, some of these questions, actually all of these questions, should be asked in any circumstances, not just when you want to submit your manuscript. Okay, so let's say, for example, a journal asks you to review for them. Okay, then these are also the checklists that you need to do before you agree to review for that particular journal. Why? Because if you review for this journal and that journal is predatory, okay, then it will not look good on you as a reviewer. Okay, so something to take note of. And if you have been invited to be on an editorial board for this particular journal, you can also use this as a simple checklist to verify who are these journals. Okay, so do you or your colleagues know the journal? Very basic question, right? Okay, because there are many journals out there, but there are a handful of very well-known journals. Okay, so it's always good to verify and check that you have colleagues who know this journal or who have submitted or read about this journal before. Okay. Number two, can you easily identify and contact the publisher? Okay, as I mentioned, their address and their contact details must be clearly listed on their website so that it's easy to contact them. Okay, if you see that their email is a Hotmail or a Gmail, that is also a very obvious telltale sign. Just be careful. Is the journal clear about the type of peer review it uses? Okay. Articles indexed in services that you use. So you use platforms like Web of Science and Journal Citation Reports to check and make sure that those journals have already been verified by established indexes like Web of Science. Okay. Is it clear what fees will be charged? Now, fees, if the journal is open access, it will definitely have an article processing fee for the authors to pay. Okay, and not all open access articles, not all open access journals or publishers are predatory just because they are open access. All right, we do index a lot of open access journals as well, okay, but they need to be clear about the fee. So sometimes they will say, okay, article processing fee of 1,000 USD, okay, and suddenly after you submit your manuscript, they will tell you, oh, because you are using color images, okay, we need to charge you extra, and so on and so forth. So all these fees need to be clearly stated either on the website. If not, they need to explain what these extra fees are for. Okay, so just be careful of this whenever you submit your article, because once you submit, they might say, oh, okay, you have your article processing fee, and then you need to add this fee, that fee, and then they don't really clarify. Okay, then that's where it is a telltale sign. Okay, so you have to be careful. Do you recognize the editorial board? Okay, so very important. Also check the editorial board members. Make sure the editorial board members are real people. Make sure they are really affiliated to those organizations. Check that they are really the editorial board members who are experts in that specific field of that journal. Okay, this is about quality checking. Okay, make sure they are all correct information. Is the publisher a member of a recognized industry initiative? Okay, so as I mentioned, today have a certain standard. Okay, so whether they belong to the Committee on Publication Ethics Code, this is one of the most common ones. And then if they are open access, are they listed in DOAJ? Okay. For Publons, which is a tool on Web of Science as part of Web of Science Group, okay, we have a checklist for all of you, okay, and this was published a few years back after the Bill's list was defunct. Okay, so because Bill's list was stopped, so a lot of researchers have been asking, so if we can't use Bill's list to check, then what else can we use to check? Okay, so we provided this checklist on Publons for any user. And these are additional questions that you can ask before you submit your journal articles to that particular journal. Okay. Now the next thing is, because UMT subscribes to the full suite of resources, Web of Science, Journal Citation Reports, as well as Publons Academy, it is very, very important for you as researchers to make sure that you are using these tools to help you make this decision. Okay? So first things first, we have the Web of Science core collection. So the Web of Science platform is the home of the Web of Science core collection, and it is a very useful tool and important tool for you when it comes to choosing journals. Because on Web of Science, we are independent of any publisher. Therefore, the way we evaluate our journals is purely based on whether it is a good contribution to the Web of Science research community. We will use very strict selection criteria to select these journals before they are indexed in Web of Science. So if they do not fulfill these quality criteria or impact criteria, they can never be indexed in Web of Science core collection. So for you, it becomes very convenient and very reliable when you're choosing journals to publish in. Look at Web of Science as your first stop to identifying these journals. Okay, many of you are always telling me, oh, but a lot of Web of Science journals very difficult to publish. Not true. Okay, in actual fact, publishing in a journal, a good journal, very much depends on, number one, a few things. Did you identify the most suitable journal for your manuscript? So for example, if you are publishing a review paper, okay, but this particular journal that you want to submit in does not publish any reviews, so of course you will get rejected. Okay, so that is just one example of identifying the right journal to publish in. Another one is identifying the right research topic. Whenever you want to attract the attention of good journals, high impact journals, good quality journals, always think about your research topic. Do not look for topics that 101 different researchers have already done, because the outcome is always going to be the same. So if you do not deliver new outcome to the research community, what is the point of these high impact journals to publish your research? Okay, so think about that. Make sure that the research topic that you choose is of good quality, okay, and it will be one of the appeal factors of your manuscript to these high impact journals in Web of Science. Okay, I see a comment about this figure, this particular slide being useful for you. Okay, rest assured the slides will be shared, so don't worry. Okay, so I'll spend some time to explain the differences in the core collection. Okay, just so that you're clear on what each of these are. So the Web of Science core collection comprises of journals, books, and conference proceedings. Okay, under the journals, we have 4 indexes: the Science Citation Index Expanded, Social Science, Arts and Humanities Citation Index being the flagship specialized indexes. The Emerging Sources Citation Index covers all disciplines, and this is where journals sit when they fulfill all 24 quality criteria that we have. Okay? So I will elaborate a little bit more about the journal selection process, where any journal that wants to be indexed in Web of Science core collection goes through an evaluation for quality. If they fulfill the 24 quality criteria, they will be indexed in the Emerging Sources Citation Index. If they fulfill the additional 4 more impact criteria, they will be promoted into the Science, Social Science, or Arts and Humanities Citation Index, depending on its discipline. Okay. So when you ask me what's the difference between this ESCI and this at the top, okay, I will always give you an analogy like Olympic Games. So the Olympic Games is something that happens every 4 years. Okay, and who can participate in the Olympic Games? Only good athletes, quality athletes that qualify. Okay, so the ESCI journals are like your qualifying athletes in the sports. Once they run the races in the individual sports and they win bronze, silver, and gold medals, then they will be standing on the podium to receive their impact factor if they are in Science and Social Science Citation Index. Okay, so that's the difference between each of these indexes and how you can determine the differences between each of them for your own benefit. If there's any journal editors in the call, okay, if you're keen to know about the quality criteria and the impact criteria, these are the ones. So we have the 24 quality criteria right here in the light gray, light purple, okay, and then you have the impact criteria, which is this 4 in the dark purple. Okay. Okay, another question that you have is how do we identify conferences, those that are included in CPCI? Okay, later on I'll show you how to find that in the Web of Science. Okay. Okay. Another question is, can we get Google citation from the conference proceedings that are included in CPCI? For those, then you have to do a separate search on Google Scholar to get those citations, because the citations that are reflected in Web of Science is purely based on Web of Science citations and nothing else. Okay. So now I'm going to show you how you can quickly find and verify journals on the Web of Science and the master journal list. Okay. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to show you is the master journal list. So I'm going to just share this URL into the chat box. Okay, so this is probably the first stop that you can go to if you want to quickly check a particular journal title. Okay, so if, for example, I want to search for, let's try this one, Universal Medicine. Okay, let's search for this journal on master journal list, and you do a search. If it says exact match has been found, then you can rest assured that this title is indeed indexed in Web of Science, okay, and you will be able to see which collection it belongs to, and it says that it is belonging to the Emerging Sources Citation Index. Okay, so when it says Emerging Sources Citation Index, it means that this journal has fulfilled the 24 quality criteria, but it has not fulfilled the impact criteria. So that's why it does not have an impact factor yet. Okay, so it's currently sitting in the Emerging Sources Citation Index. If you want a quick list of journals in your own specialization, doesn't matter whether they have impact factor or not, but you just want to have a quick list for your own reference, okay, then on the left hand side, okay, let me just clear this first, clear this search. Then on the left hand side, you have some filters you can use. Okay, you can say that I want to see all these journals. Okay, and I want to select the category. So under here, if you are in animal and plant sciences, then you can just select the relevant categories, and here you will have the 226 journals in this category, and you will be able to see each article title here, each journal title right here. The other thing that you can use that I would encourage you to do is also use this tool called the match manuscript. If you want to narrow down your search of a journal that purely suits the manuscript that you are writing, you can use this tool, but it requires a login. So we have the manuscript matcher. You can put in your title of your manuscript, put in your abstract, and then it will try and find a journal for you. So I'm just going to type in something. And then that's fine. So I'm putting in rubbish just as an example. So based on the title and the abstract, the manuscript matcher will find the journals for you, and you will be able to see where it is indexed, as well as later on you can actually go in and view the profile page to have a look. You can see publication information. You can also look at links to directly to the journal website to see their aims and scopes. So this is a very useful tool that you can use to verify journals on the go, and find a journal that is most closely suited to your manuscript that you're trying to publish. Now the next thing is accessing Web of Science. So from your UMT library website, you can go to, let me just show you. From e-resources, you can choose whichever specialization you're in. You can go to Web of Science. If you're on campus, just click here. Off campus, click this link. You also have journal citation reports right here, which I will demonstrate later on, as well as insights. So insights is a tool that you can use to analyze the data from Web of Science, so that you can clearly identify things like collaborators, funders, and so on. But for today, I'm actually focusing on just Web of Science and journal citation reports, these two tools. So on Web of Science, what you can do is do some simple verification. So this is Web of Science. Your access for Web of Science content should be starting from 1975, I believe. So you will have access from 1975 onwards. So what you can do on Web of Science is, number one, you can do a publication name. So if you have so if there's any conference proceedings, you can just type in the conference proceedings names into this search, and you can then easily verify whether the conferences are indexed in CPCI. So you can type in the conference proceeding. You can even limit it to the conference proceeding indexes just to make sure. Because there are some conference proceedings that are indexed within the journals itself, and that's why it may appear also here. But if you want to verify just conference proceedings, CPCI, just make sure that you unselect the others. and just search CPCI when you are verifying a particular conference proceeding. Okay, so I'm just going to select everything here. Okay. So if you want to verify a journal, okay, you can just type in the journal's name and then verify that publication name, whether it exists there or not. Okay. Sometimes, for example, let me just see. Okay, let's search. Okay, this one has all the publication years. Sometimes, if it is a journal that is in ESCI, okay, and if it's a small society publisher or a small university press, sometimes the content has a bit of lag when it comes to indexing. That's why if you see any missing years, okay, so it may not be that it has been delisted, okay, it could purely be because there was a lag in the content being indexed in Web of Science. So in order to verify whether this title is still in Web of Science or not, always go back to Master Journal List to have a quick check to make sure that you can find that journal name in this list. Okay. Let's go back to Web of Science itself. Okay, so this is how you search for a publication and all the articles here. Okay. You can, and also one more thing is if it's in your own specialization and you want to quickly find, that means your manuscript is not ready yet, but you want to quickly identify some of these journals before you finish writing your manuscript. Okay, you can actually use the topic search to narrow down your search for your own subject field or that specific topic that you are doing in your paper. So let's say, for example, I am doing IoT and smart farm. Okay, so let's say I'm doing this research topic. I want to look at recent publications in, say, 10 years or so, okay? And then you do a search. Oops, only got one. Okay, let me just maybe it really is only one. Okay, let's do a search. Okay, say IoT and supply chain management. Okay. So you have 200 papers around this specific topic. Then you can quickly identify the journal titles by going to Analyze Results. And then going to Source Titles. Okay, so these are the titles of the journals or even proceedings that publish in IoT supply chain management. Okay, so from here you can then easily find suitable journals for your own specialization. Okay, now going back to my slides, the next thing is journal citation reports. Okay, so what is journal citation reports? Journal citation reports is a report that we publish annually in June. Okay, and this is the home of the journal impact factor. So if you see any major publishers' websites like Springer, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, Wolters Kluwer, okay, their journals will have corresponding impact factors if they have. Okay, and these impact factors come from journal citation reports. So journal citation reports covers only journals in the science and social science citation indexes. Okay, so only these two indexes in Web of Science have impact factors, right? So what is so special about the journal citation reports is, as I mentioned before, as with all our Web of Science content, we are selective and we have quality control and we are transparent in the way we calculate the journal impact factors. So we will actually show you what are the articles and review articles that have been used in the calculation of the impact factor for that particular journal. Okay. And within journal citation reports itself, we will give you other indicators that will help you to make decisions about the journal before you submit your manuscript for publishing in there. In journal citation reports, we cover about 12,000 plus journals, okay? And this number usually stays around there. Okay, it will not be higher, it will not be lower by much. Okay, the reason is because it is an exclusive list. So in every subject category, the number of journals will more or less maintain the same. Okay, so this will show you how exclusive the journal citation reports metrics are. Okay, and we are very strict in our quality checks. So if we find that there has been any misbehaviors by the journals, we will send in editorial expressions of concern. And if they do not change their habits, we will also suppress them. So this is one of the very important steps when it comes to preventing predatory journals from being indexed in our database. We have these quality checks in place. We will have the review process, evaluation process before they get indexed. Okay? And at that point of evaluation, if they fulfill those criteria, they will be indexed. However, once they are indexed in our databases, we will always continue to monitor them. And if they do suddenly change their behavior and become something less ideal, okay, then or they have questionable behavior, okay, then we will do investigation and do some re-evaluation. So that's why it is very important to know this background process that we have so that you can trust what we have indexed in our database. Okay. So to give you a closer look of journal citation reports, okay, I've already shown you how to access JCR, okay, but from Web of Science, if you want to access journal citation reports, you can just click on JC top ribbon here, click on journal citation reports, and it will open the platform for you. Okay, so for all of you here, if you want to quickly verify a journal, just feel free to type in the journal's name right here. Okay, so earlier on, we used Universal Medicina, and it was listed here in Master Journal List in Emerging Sources Citation Index. So that's why when you start searching in journal citation reports now, it says no results found, because it is only indexed in ESCI, it does not have an impact factor. Okay. However, this is a useful tool that you can use if a journal claims that they have this impact factor. Just go in to JCR, do a quick check of the journal title, and you can verify whether they truly have an impact factor or not. Okay. Now, if you want to have a quick pool of the titles, okay, just go to browse by category so that you can find the journals in your own subject category. You can sort this by alphabetical order. Okay. And let's say you are in this biodiversity, you have 58 journals that are in this subject area. Okay. And you can go in and see these 58 titles. Okay. And you can go into any of these titles to have a closer look at the particular journal before you decide to publish your paper there. Okay. We will indicate how many, the publication frequency, whether it's open access or not. Okay. And also look at the impact factor trend over 5 years. Okay. If you're keen to see specific quartiles, so Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4, on the left-hand side, there is a filter called GIF quartile. Just click on Q1 and then submit. And this would display the 14 Q1 journals in this subject area. Okay. And you can then export this for your own reference and for your own records. Okay, so that's journal citation reports. Okay, we just go back. So you can always make use of the tools that you have, which is what I've shown you, Master Journal List, Web of Science, and Journal Citation Reports, to do a quick check of journal titles, okay, just to make sure that they are truly indexed in Web of Science. And you can use Web of Science to quickly identify journal titles so that you avoid searching on your own, so that you can rest assured that the selection that you have is already pre-selected and pre-verified and pre-evaluated for you. Okay. So I've mentioned about reviewing. Okay. So make sure that you do not review for a predatory journal. Okay. Does reviewing for a predatory journal make your peer review work less important? Not really. Okay. But because you unknowingly publish your article, because when you're reviewing for a predatory journal, you're encouraging this journal to continuously conduct predatory engagements. Okay, so just make sure that you do not encourage this and try and avoid reviewing for these journals. Okay. So in a study that was published by Pablons and the Swiss National Science Foundation, it was found that the characteristics of scholars who publish in predatory journals and review for them are quite similar. Most of them are scholars of young academic age, okay, so early career researchers, and they have very few publications and very few reviews. Okay. So that's why we found that there was a very strong need to educate on what makes a journal predatory, and that's why we are doing this kind of webinars that I'm doing today with all of you, to educate you on the tools that you have access to so that you avoid these pitfalls. Okay. You can use Pablons to verify journals as well. So you within Pablons, we actually have partnered journals. So these are journals that partner with us, and we verify that they are legitimate. Okay, so they partner with us, and they have this official partner badge on Pablons. Okay, so these are some of the things that you can check on Pablons. Is this journal an official Pablons partner? Okay, does the publisher have reviews on Pablons, and are they verified? Okay. Do any of the reviews have open review content? If so, you can look at the reviews and check that they are very thorough reviews. And are any researchers endorsing the journal on Pablons? Okay. You can take a look at all of this information so that you can quickly ascertain whether a journal is legitimate. Okay, so on Pablons itself, so this is the platform. Let me just copy the URL for you. So within Pablons, if you look at if you go to browse journals, okay, you would see the list of journals or conferences here, and if there's a tick next to them, these are our official partners. So they have been partnering with us, and they have been endorsed. Okay, so if you're able to see this information, okay, you can just quickly go in to see this any of these journals. So let's say let's look at animals. Okay, so this particular journal, okay, official partner with us, okay, and you can see their review policy. You can also see who are their editors, okay, editorial board members, whether it has been endorsed by any of the research community in Pablons. Okay, and this is an added level of verification that you can do for any journal that you want to publish in. Okay. You can search the journal title as well. So if you can just quickly do a search for the journal, or you can actually limit it by the field. Okay. So you have this one, agronomy. Okay, go in and see. Okay, and you can see the endorsements. Okay. If you're interested in reviewing for any of these journals, you can feel free to put in click to let them know. Okay. So another way of avoiding these predatory journals who ask you to review, just indicate journals that you are keen to review for by letting them know. Okay. So Publons has all these partnered journals. So we have these are just a handful of the big names that we have partnered with. Okay. So we have Springer, Sage, okay, Walter Stewart, IOP, okay. And more importantly, okay, why and how should you start doing peer review properly? Okay, so it may seem very scary that I said, okay, you have to avoid reviewing for predatory journals, okay, but it's still very important for you to do peer review work. Why? Because you are exposed to new research as a peer reviewer. Okay? When you're reviewing for a journal, you're looking at papers that have not been published yet. So this gives you some insights to that particular field that you're in and its development. Okay? So it's very important to do peer review. But to build up that peer review experience of yours might take time. And in the past, there was never a course or a curriculum to teach you how to do proper peer review. Only until recently, when we have had this, okay, we have Publons Academy. So University Malaysia Terengganu, UMT has a subscription to Publons Academy, which is an online learning module for peer review skills. Okay, it is already live and you can start using it now. Some of you may have already completed this. Okay, but this will definitely help you to learn the skills of doing peer review work so that you can reap the benefits of peer reviewing. Okay, we will teach you how to improve on your own writing skills as well, because through understanding how to write a good peer review, you are also looking out for what are the important sections to look out for in a particular article. Okay? When you know the inside out of how a peer review thinks, then the chances are you are also improving how you are going to write your manuscript. Okay? And this course is seeking to answer these questions. So you agree to help with a peer review, or even actually sometimes your professors might ask you, do you want to co-review this with me? Then he'll pass you that full text and then ask you to do a review and then come back to him. Okay, but he doesn't actually teach you how to do that review. All right, so Publons Academy will help you, guide you in this process. So this is an online course of 10 modules that you can do immediately now after today. Okay. Okay. And there is a question about how can we link, how can we go and learn peer review? Okay, I will show it to you shortly. Okay, so let me just demonstrate to you Publons Academy. So all you need to do is go to publons.com. Okay, go to publons.com. Sign up for your own ID and password. Okay, so make sure you are on UMT's IP address. Okay, so you're on site. Make sure you are registering on site via the IP address. Okay, if you are using the Easy Proxy, you can actually go through the Easy Proxy if you have VPN, go through the VPN if you're off campus to access the IP address of UMT, sorry, and then you can register. Okay, register yourself. Okay, put in your email, password, and register. Okay, if you already have your own Publons account, you can use that same account to log in. Okay. Let me just go in. Okay. And to make sure that you are registered under the UMT, okay, you can go to your private dashboard. Okay. And under affiliations, settings, affiliations, put in Terengganu. Okay, choose the correct spelling, yeah. Okay, University Malaysia Terengganu. Okay, and then put yourself as up to present. Okay, and set this as your primary affiliation. Okay, so once you've done this, then we know that you are from UMT, and you can then start accessing Publons Academy. So you can start Publons Academy by either going through here, Community Academy, or under your private dashboard, you will have here Community Publons Academy as well. So go to Publons Academy, and this is how it should look like for you if you are UMT. Okay, you will see UMT logo, and you will see the course modules on the left-hand side. So the course outline is here. Okay, you can go through each module. When you have reached module 5, okay, once you have reached module 5, you will be asked to choose a article to review. These articles are preprints, and they will be, you can find the papers here on OSS. Okay, and this will be the paper that you will use as a sample review to do your sample peer review. Okay, so once you've selected this, you will be prompted to invite a mentor. So you can invite your own UMT mentors as well. So if you have a professor, you can always ask your professor whether he can mentor you in Publons Academy. Okay, otherwise, you can continue on to until module 10, and you will have the option to select a mentor from our list of international mentors. Okay, so you have volunteer mentors here, and what you can do is choose from this list, and this list is based on your own specialization. Okay, so if you are in the field of veterinary science, make sure that in your private dashboard you have selected your specialization as veterinary science, so that we will only recommend you reviewers, mentors from that particular field. Okay, so once you have completed all 10 modules and you have graduated, okay, then this is how you will get a certificate. Okay, and you can claim for your so if there's any UMT staff on this call, you can actually claim for continuous learning points with your department. Okay, and once you have graduated from Publons Academy and you have reviewed for at least 15 journals, so you've done 15 peer reviews, okay, you can actually volunteer yourself as a mentor in Publons, and this gives you the opportunity to receive invitations from other researchers to mentor them, or even collaborate with them. Okay, so this is an added certification for you that you can do right now. Okay, and that's it. So as I've mentioned before, predatory journals is just one segment. There are predatory reviews, there's predatory authorship as well. So just be careful whenever you're selecting journals to publish in. Make sure you use the tools that you have access to, like Web of Science and JCR, okay, and Publons. Okay. If you want to hone in on your peer review skills to make sure that you are able to quickly recognize some of these predatory journals, you can always sign up for this UMT Publons Academy that is available to you now. Okay. Go in, do the 10 modules, be mentored by your professors or even international mentors, and you will be on your way to producing good quality research and publishing in the best place to showcase your research. Okay. So at this point, I will open up to more questions from the audience. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type those questions into the chat box or into the Q&A panel. For those of you who have come in later and you have missed some of these sections, the recording will be shared with you after today, so you can review the parts that you have missed. Okay. Okay. So some of you have said that you are not able to register for the course because you're off campus. Okay. So I want to do some corrections. So you do not need to be on the IP address. Okay. You just need to make sure that once you have signed for Publons, make sure that you go to your private dashboard. Okay. And your affiliations has to indicate that you are from University Malaysia Terengganu. Okay. Okay. Choose University Malaysia Terengganu and indicate this as your primary affiliation. Okay. Then you save changes. So once you've done this, then we will recognize you as UMT, and you will be able to use the UMT branded Publons Academy. Okay. I mentioned about your profile, so you can go to your profile here, and you can also set your research fields. So you can put in your relevant fields. So if you're in marine ecology, marine biology, just put those in, okay, and save profile. So once you have done this, when you go into Publons Academy and you look for your volunteer mentors, this list will be based on what you have indicated, and then immediately you can send an email to them to invite them to be your mentor. Okay. Once you have graduated, okay, the certificate will also be branded with UMT, and you can claim your points via the Continuous Development Office. Okay. Are there any other questions from anyone? Okay. Otherwise, I hope you have found this session useful. Feel free to drop me an email if you have more questions for me. Okay. My email is bju-lyn.chng@clarivate.com. Okay. I'll be available to address any of those questions you might have. And please share with your colleagues and your friends about Publons Academy, because this is currently available to you till probably end of September. So you will be able to use this for this year. Okay. Just make sure that you sign up as soon as possible. Okay. In terms of how long it takes to finish the whole course, usually not more than a month, okay, because you need to do 2 reviews through the course, okay. But rest assured, you can pause at any time and come back to the specific modules. Okay. Okay, a question that I have received now is there any other source to check SSCI journal list other than master journal list? No. So from what I've mentioned, you can only check for the list of journals in SSCI through the master journal list. That will be the most accurate. Okay. Okay. So there's also another question here to ask me to check a specific journal. Okay, let me just quickly look at this journal for you, yeah. So there's this journal, Biointerface Research in Applied Chemistry. If you want to just quickly verify whether it is in Web of Science, you can just type in the journal name here. Okay, and this journal is indexed in Web of Science, and it is indexed in the Emerging Sources Citation Index. So you should be okay with publishing here. Okay? If you want to verify more about the journal, feel free to go to the profile of this journal. Okay, visit the journal's website. Okay, go through the checklist that I mentioned in my slides right here. Okay, you can go through this checklist or even this checklist to verify. Okay, so in order to verify whether a journal is predatory or not, you must always look at many information points. First is to verify in Web of Science, I will just JCR. If they are indeed indexed there, it means that they have passed the initial evaluation. Okay. However, if the journal has been indexed in Web of Science for quite a long time, sometimes their behavior might change. Okay, so then it is important for you to also use this checklist to make sure that they are still displaying things openly, making sure that they are displaying correct information, making sure that their guidelines are there clearly stated. Also, things like their editorial board members are true and real. Okay, those are also important things to look out for. Okay, so I hope that has answered your question, Hakim. Okay. Okay, if there's no further questions, I wish all of you well, and I hope to see you all again soon in another webinar that I'll be running together with the UMT library. So thank you very much, and I wish all of you a good day and stay safe. Thank you. Bye.